Tree of Life, Session 2, Branches and Trunk. Hey everyone, welcome to Session 2 of the Tree of Life. So this slide is kind of going to lay out what we're going to go over this week. So first we're going to start talking about values. What is a value? And we're going to kind of compare that to a belief so that you guys can understand the difference between the two, because we're going to be working with your values today. And then we're going to dive right in to the Session 2 content that's based on drawing the trunks and the branches. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get started. All right, so let's dive right into what a value is. So our values are things that we think are important. This can include things like equality, honesty, family, and faith. It can also include things that you see in this picture here, such as education, improvement, divinity, religion, intelligence. Basically, our values govern the way that we behave and interact with other people in the world and other people around us. Value stems from our beliefs. So what's a belief? What does that mean? All right, so what this means is that values stem from beliefs, meaning that beliefs are things about ourselves, others, and the world around us that we believe personally to be true. They grow from what we see, hear, experience, read, and what we think about. They don't require any proof. Beliefs usually start very early on in life, and as the belief grows, it usually turns into a value. For example, if you believe that in order to do well in life, you need to go to school, get good grades, then education is most likely going to become an important value in your life. All right, so knowing the difference between beliefs and values, I know can be a little bit confusing. People use both to guide their actions and behavior and to form their attitudes towards different things, but they are essentially different, as you've seen in the previous two slides. Beliefs are the things that we hold to be true, usually without actual proof or evidence. From our beliefs, we derive our values, which can either be correct or incorrect when compared with evidence, but nonetheless, you still hold them to be true. So, can values that stem from beliefs change? It's a good question, right? And the answer is absolutely yes. It is possible for our beliefs and values to kind of differ and change over time as we encounter evidence or proof or have experiences that challenge our previously held views or beliefs. Our beliefs and values can also be strengthened by experience or evidence, so they don't always have to change or become a value that we no longer hold that's important, but it can also be strengthened. For example, going back to that education value, so you believed all of your life, you saw your mother, for example, she strived to go to school while you were little, and you saw how important education was for her, and she often told you, education is very important if you want to get anywhere in life, or if you want to move up in a career, you need to be highly educated. Therefore, you developed the value of education. So as you have that value of education, you decided that you were going to pursue and finish high school, or that you were going to go on to finish college because your value of education was very important to you. So you experienced school, and therefore that experience solidified and strengthened that value of education in your life, because once you finished high school and maybe you finished college and you got a good job, that experience strengthened that value for you because it showed you that, education was your path and it did hold importance in your life. All right, so let's get started with our trees again. So session 2, I have previously stated earlier on in this recording that we were going to be doing the trunk and the branches. We're going to be starting with the trunk this week. And the reason why we kind of touched upon values is because in our trunk, we're going to be talking about what is values and what your skills are. All right, so the trunk. The trunk represents what you value. So maybe you value education, maybe religion is something that's really, really important to you. So that would be what you value and what you care about. We also want to see in your trees your skills, your abilities. A value can also be a skill, parenting. Maybe you're an amazing parent. Maybe you are a singer. Um, what are your skills and your abilities that you feel is something that really represents you? We really want to see that in your tree. We also want to see how you can trace the history of these. So you can do that by sharing a story on your tree of when you used your skill in your life. It doesn't have to be written down in words. You can draw a picture of it. For example, if family is something that you really value, you can draw a picture of your family. You can also trace the history of these by writing down on your tree, who did you learn these values from? Where did you get these skills from? How long have they been important to you? Is it something that maybe you can draw back and connect to your roots or your ground? Maybe it was from early childhood. Maybe you picked it up through an experience. That would be something that you would put into the trunk of your tree. So really, we want to look at your values, what you care about, your skills and your abilities, and we kind of want to see, where did these all come from? All right, so here's an example of a trunk of a tree where you can clearly point out some of the values that this person put into their tree. Clearly, this person valued education, they valued inclusion and diversity. Fearlessness was something that's really important to them, life, improvement, intelligence. So you can really see that this person has really delved into what they value and what's important to them and what they care about, their skills and abilities, and kind of just put it into the tree. You can see that they illustrated with the flag here, they put some hearts in there that has to hold significance to them. Education, see, they put a number 1 here, so maybe doing really well in school is something that they kind of pride themselves on, something that's very important to them. Maybe it's a strength that they have. Family here, see the infinity sign, so this is something that they really care about, it's a value to them, and you can see that they did an illustration and that they didn't just use words here. So I just figured that I would show you guys an example of a trunk of a tree from the tree of life. So maybe you guys could get some ideas. Your tree absolutely does not have to look like this, but just for something for you guys to kind of go off of. All right, so once you feel that you have completed your trunk and that you want to move on, we're going to move on to the branches of your tree, or what the Tree of Life program likes to call horizons. So let's dig a little bit deeper and find out what horizons means. All right, so branches of your tree. So the branches of your tree represent your hopes, your dreams, and your wishes. So these hopes, dreams, and wishes don't just have to be for yourself, but they can also be the hopes and dreams and wishes that you have for others, such as your children or other significant people in your life, and also for your community. It can be for your community back home if you're not from Ottawa, if you're not from Canada. It can be for your community in your neighborhood. It can be for your neighbors. It can be for your school community. Really, it's just the hopes, dreams, and wishes that you have for yourself and others. Now, it's also possible to trace the history of these hopes, dreams, and wishes, kind of like what we did with the trunk. So what we're kind of looking for here is how long have these been hopes and dreams for you? How long have you wished these things for yourself or for others or for your community? And also, we kind of want to look back into those roots, and we also want to look into that trunk, and we want to find out, where do you think these hopes, dreams, and wishes came from? All right, so here's an example of the branches from a tree from the Tree of Life program, and you can see some of the hopes, dreams, and wishes that this person had for themselves, for their community, and for others. So as we can see, there's tolerance, there's patience, there's happiness, equality, inclusivity, family. So you can see that what this person really kind of holds to be important, what they wish, what they hope, what they dream. It doesn't necessarily say whether it's for themselves, for their community, or for others, but that's the beauty of it, is it doesn't have to, because if this were your tree, then you would know exactly what it means. All right, so once you think that you have filled out your branches and they look exactly how you want them to, you've already filled out your trunk and your roots and your ground are all completed, and you think that you've put everything that you want to put, we want to kind of take a look at the tree as a whole. So let's take a look at those branches, that trunk, the roots, and the ground, and let's start trying to make connections. All right, so let's take a look at the trunk and branches here. I want you to see and ask yourself, do your values, hopes, dreams, or wishes kind of connect with anything from your roots or from your ground? Do your branches kind of connect to anything in your trunk? So, for example, let's take a look at this tree here. So, let's go back to the education example. All right, so say education here is in the trunk, right? So like we said, maybe as a person growing up, this person that made this tree saw their mother going to school a lot to better her life. She went back to college, and she consistently told this young person that education was important, and if you wanted to go anywhere, you needed to be educated. All right, so we can kind of see education here a little bit with the book here, and with the mother here. And then you see it kind of growing up. Intelligence here kind of has roots, right? So on the ground, you can see that this is kind of important in the person's present, so that's in the ground. But it's also kind of rooted into the ground here, and it kind of mingles with the roots here with the mother, right? So education goes up into the trunk, because the trunk education is a value, and values are supposed to go on the trunk, right? So if you kind of go up into the tree, you can kind of see that family is really important to this person. So perhaps the connection between family here kind of roots back to family right here. And this could also be connected to education, which can be connected to the mother deep down into the roots. You can also see love. Here is something, a wish, a hope, and a dream that this person has for themselves, their family, which can be their community, and for others, right? So we can connect this love here to diversity. Maybe they think that diversity is a value that they hold, and they believe that love is kind of a wish and a hope that they have for the community, so that maybe inclusion, that is a value to this young person, can become more prominent in different communities across their city. So there's a lot of ways that we can make connections from our branches into our trunk and into our roots. So just take a look at your tree and see what kind of connections you can make between what you've put in your branches, in your trunk, in your roots, and in your ground.